Hi guys, and welcome to episode 28 of the Your Progress is Our Passion podcast. Today I'm a little bit further from home than usual. I'm down in Brighton because I've come down to do a seminar with the lovely Jessie Lambert-Harden, or Lambert-Harden as it's properly said, but we discussed the correct pronunciation before and I wanted to do it in Belgish, which is not even a language. Jessie is a nutritionist and a trainer and a biomechanics. Are you still learning on that, or is that biomechanics trainer? And as I say, she's invited me down here to do a mindset seminar with some of her clients in her community later today in about an hour. So we're going to get this interview done and then get off to do that. Jessie, hi. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got into the fitness industry.
Well, when I left university, I was a bit, overweight and all that kind of... No, not even overweight, but overweight for me, because I've grown up as kind of one of these lucky thin people, if you put it that way. And I kind of lost a bit of confidence in the way I looked and felt. And so I decided to go along with some of my work colleagues to join Weight Watchers, and lost all the weight in about a week or something, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Got to the target goal weight or whatever it was in a couple of weeks, and then it was like we got a free gym at work, went to the gym, but quickly spiraled into bad habits of not eating much, because when you go to these kind of slimming clubs, if you don't eat you lose weight really.
Yeah.
And it kind of spiraled a little bit into not having too much what I thought about what I was doing. Just train, not eat much, and just still feel really awful all the time. But and then so I just became more and more interested in stuff, and thought and then I hired a personal trainer myself, who actually I didn't have a good experience with at the time, to be honest.
Right.
He tried to push loads of supplements and stuff on me. So I had a huge stack of a very large supplement company. At the time they're still pretty big, but CLA, all of this kind of stuff. And I wasn't actually eating any food, it was just all of this stuff. I was wasting loads of money and didn't really enjoy it. I didn't really get any satisfaction out of it. So I parted ways with him and just kind of decided to go it alone, really.
Yeah.
And then, I got into running in a big way at one point. So I wasn't going to the gym as much, and then I got badly injured. And on reflection, I should have kept up the sort of gym work at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I probably wouldn't be quite so badly injured, but and then I decided to do a personal training course for my own, with no real idea of actually doing it as a job.
Yeah. But
just because I liked to go to the gym and thought I want to know more. And then my old job, which was working in hydrocarbons, building oil rigs and stuff, I had a baby, and then it was like having a baby and working all over the world is just not going to work. So I'll use the skills that I've learned and make a job out of it.
Yeah.
And that was it, really.
Yeah. Well, for a lot of people, it kind of stops at I like the gym. I've got the level 3 qualification, and that's it. And I can do that. That's all I need to be a PT. But obviously, when we've talked, you said self-proclaimed geek in terms of like wanting to know so much more.
Yeah.
So what path did that take after there?
Well, I did get first of all, I got into the nutrition stuff a lot more. So I did the sports nutrition course. I did a few sports nutrition courses. I really did a nutritional therapy course, which wasn't actually that good. When I look back at it now, it wasn't that good a course, practically speaking, which is an online course. And then a lot of the principles that I came across, I did quite a few certificates in various different kinds of nutrition, sort of not kinds, but little modules of stuff. So I did pre and postnatal nutrition and childhood obesity and allergies and intolerances and that kind of stuff. I had all this knowledge, but I didn't actually know how to coach people really.
Right.
And then I'd been following kind of Ben Coomer's like body type nutrition. I'd followed his work for quite a long time on Twitter, when people used to use Twitter instead of Facebook and Instagram. And and then I was just like, one day I'm going to actually do that myself, and so I did.
Yeah.
And that was definitely, I wish I'd done it sooner, but maybe it was better when I did it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think the course gets considerably better every single year.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So when did the interest in biomechanics kick in?
Well, actually, when I went on I'm going to talk about body type nutrition far too much probably, but
I do. It's how I know half my guests.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ben.
So we went to on the BTM retreat last year, which is a holiday to Marbella, and there's an obstacle course there, and it's we had Ben and Simon, Herbert, and then Jack Coomer was there doing and they were all there in their own advisory things, and they set up seminars, and Simon did loads of stuff on movement and mobility and stuff, and I was like, actually I do actually really love this, and I've neglected all of this for quite a long time because I've been doing so much online coaching and stuff to fit around my family, my children, and I was like, actually I want to go back to working more with people again. And I was asked Simon's advice about a few things, and I was looking at doing strength and conditioning, but actually when I looked into it and hunted around, I just looked at Rachel's videos before and came across Rachel France, and it was very impulsive. I just phoned her and just said, and we chatted, and I just thought, she's awesome, I'm going to do it now. Didn't even think about it. I was like, this is what I want to do, and again, she's sort of changed the way I look at the way clients move, and given me a much bigger toolbox and a completely different way of thinking, and more confident, to be more confident in challenging what I think or what other people think. So it's been great.
Yeah. So I think literally for the first time on the podcast, I've definitely had James Buck on. He's got a son, but he, by his own admission, only has his son one day of the week. So you are the first full-time parent, I believe. How do you juggle parenthood, family life, and work?
It literally is that, I think.
Juggling.
Yeah. I always say that this is one of the phrases that I use quite a lot. Actually, I juggle. That's how I explain it to people. I juggle, but I drop balls all the time, because nothing's ever perfect. It's really hard, I have to say. It's hard, it's draining, there's so much emotion there with kids, clients. It's very hard to detach, and it's a learning process. I'm still learning, I'm still trying to figure it out. Yeah.
Does your profession, would you say, impact on how you raise your children?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. They know what mummy does. They know about, well, especially my daughter. My son's a bit more, well, as you've met him, he's a little bit more carefree.
He's a legend.
He's a bit more carefree, but she's very, she listens a lot and she processes lots of information, and she'll be the one going around saying, I don't want to eat those kind of things because an apple will make me feel better. She quite happily eat a packet of crisps, and she will, I don't mind her eating them and things, but I let her make her choices, and because we've had the discussion, and she knows that things aren't like, I'm not strict with them, but sensible, I would say. A treat's still a treat, if you like. It's not an everyday thing. But by the same token, people say, oh, I can't believe you let your kids eat that. It's like, well, yeah, but it's normal.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things, like, everyone's kind of got an idea on how parenting should be done. And like we talked about when we were having breakfast, it can be a bit crippling, because if you listen to everyone's advice on how it should be done, then you can't actually do all of those things at the same time.
No.
And yeah, it's like if you're spending so much time just following the rules, when do you have the time to actually be a parent and to...
Exactly, yeah. I was having a very similar conversation with a friend, how we need to stop. It was only a few days ago. Stop trying to be everything, and just be.
Yeah.
And it's okay to just be. So enjoy what you've got and enjoy things in the moment without thinking about other things at the same time.
Yeah.
So just being with your kids is good enough, and not doing it perfectly, and not having to, think about other things while you're just being a parent or having fun, just playing with the kids. It's okay to just be there and just play with the kids and not have a tidy house and not have a perfect job, and it doesn't really matter. And accepting that it doesn't really matter is quite hard though for lots of people. It's hard for me, it's hard for quite a few people, I think.
So one of the things we talked about again when we were having breakfast, amazing eggs Benedict, by the way. Like I want to move to Brighton. But
you wanted 6 more, so it must have been.
I did want 6, but that's because I'm a glutton. Is obviously this idea of a change in identity, like from growing to being the working person to being a mum. Like, how was that for you? Really hard
because being sort of fiercely independent, having a job that was a good job, really good job, got to see lots of different parts of the world, worked with some really interesting people, got to talk in front of presidents of countries, and so really embarrassed myself by saying inappropriate things. I
will dig into that off camera in a bit.
So to go from that, and then because I was in London, we moved from London to Brighton, and I didn't really have a huge network of friends here. I had a couple of friends, but they were all working, so I had no one to really hang out with during the day or whatever, and that was a pretty lonely time. So you go from being a working person, having a baby, and you're like over the moon that you've got a baby, but actually it's really hard to adapt from being a person in their own right to just someone's mum. And there's no gradual switch over. It's just that's it. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just that it's hard. It's hard to adapt, and when you don't have a social network to kind of. It's a lot easier when the kids go to school because they all of a sudden got loads more friends whose kids are in the same class and stuff. When they're babies, it's really hard. Very hard.
Is there any kind of advice that you give for other mums that are kind of like that maybe are in the business world and are now about to have their first child and stuff?
Like their own business or working?
Either. Well, I mean, I think there are different parameters, aren't there? Obviously, because if you work and there's structures in place for how long you'd be out of work and how long before you return to work.
Yeah.
Maybe look at it from a self-employed point of view, because obviously you've got the aspect of, and as do I, of when you've got to do work on the business and yet you're actually maybe at home and with the kids and you could be working on the business. It's like,
I haven't got any advice because I haven't sorted it out myself yet.
Fair enough.
It's a bit shameful. No, I do. I think is being, and what I know that I need to do is to kind of it's okay to not think about your business, or it's okay to kind of look after things. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I asked that question is just because obviously I'm in a similar boat to you, but because I only have my kids 2 or 3 days of the week, I do get a little bit more time than you, or significantly more time than you, and mine are older and they're both in school. But yeah, building a business around that, it's this, especially like we've got half term next week, and for me, I've got to work in that time, and so as you said, you've not worked it out yet. I've not really fully worked it out yet. I've got things that I do and a lot of it's just kind of, I have to kind of decide on a day-to-day basis whether I've made peace with that or not. And I think the reason I kind of brought it up was like, I think that's pretty normal. Like one of the things that I dislike about when you get these parents who are like, who they pretend that they've got it all worked out on the surface, and it's kind of like, it's just like, oh yeah, you must do things this way. And the thing is, that's not representative of what 98% of parents who have to work are feeling out there. So it's like, it's a kind of like, again, it's not one of these false representations that we see online particularly, or, you know, occasionally face to face with the mums down at school or the dads down at school.
Yeah, although there's quite a few accounts on social media where there's a lady called her account is Harafajin, and she's
I know the one.
She's very prolific in she does cartoons that are just like parenting basically as it really is, rather than the pretty picture of what people think it should be like. But yeah, I mean, it's the same for any parents. It's I think it's hard when you've got your own business, because it's hard to step out of it.
Yeah.
So you've got your kids during the day, but you're still thinking, or someone sends you a message, and then you feel bad because you're on your phone while your children are there, and actually, is that a good message to be sending to them, or whatever? And then in the evenings, you kind of back in the work zone when they've gone to bed, and then you get, and it's kind of like a vicious cycle like that. It's like you're stepping in, stepping out. So for me, one of my goals is to kind of try and keep a little bit more of a system in place for when I do work and when I don't work, to try and separate them a little bit and be okay with that.
Yeah.
It's that bit that I know how I'm going to do it, but it's being okay with that.
Yeah.
Is the hardest bit.
Yeah. And the most important bit.
Yeah, exactly, of course. And and then I've got the opposite, where my friends who are employed in really successful jobs, they feel extremely guilty because they, might commute to London, come back and don't see their kids much during the week, and then everything at the weekend is revolved around chores, or so it's really hard, because if you have worked your whole life and you have kids, to actually have a long break is nigh on impossible, really. You won't get your job back afterwards. And at the end of the day, people it's okay for them to love their job.
Yeah.
I've got friends that have got jobs that are amazing and really worthwhile, and they absolutely love it, or they can't afford not to work.
It's very much the case at the moment, is the fact that you need both parents working, and I think it's one of the toughest parts of society right now that needs to be adapted to. And it's like, it's understand if it's kind of from a choice point of view, it's a bit different than from a necessity point of view, because like a lot of parents, they just need the income. They can't live without the two incomes.
Choices out, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think we're in a bit of a transitional period in terms of kind of, I'd say, well, in terms of gender roles, particularly right now as well. Like even though obviously, I don't even know what the correct term for it is anymore, because I'm not a single parent, even though technically I am, because my wife is my kid's stepmom. So even when she's there, the responsibility doesn't fall to her on any. So and it's not a shared responsibility. Even if things are shared logistically, like she can, she can like cook the dinner, or she can take the dog out for a walk, or whatever it may be. Yes, that's great, but emotionally, that's never shared anymore.
Yeah, because they're your kids, aren't they?
Yeah, and the thing for me, because I only see them like 3 days of the week, I want that to be kind of like fun time. But it's like I've got to somehow balance a small amount of time with what would normally fit into a week. And people, I mean, the traditional gender role idea of the single dad is so kind of like, maybe insulting is not the right word, but it traditionally speaking, I've got many female clients who are divorced and have got ex-partners, and the partner is just a deadbeat dad. The traditional kind of sees them for a day, doesn't really do anything, kind of doesn't pick up on the maintenance money, doesn't, like, basically just the stereotype.
The biological father.
Yeah, exactly.
That's about it.
Yeah, and that. I am not that. I am like a million miles from that, and to me that doesn't even make sense. But I think as a result, I want to kind of give my kids in 3 days what they'd be getting in 7. So I want to give them the discipline, and I want to give them their routine and their chores, but at the same time I also want to have really loads of fun time with them. And it's like even if it's like on one of the days one of them's got a friend over, it's like I'll go and pick them up from school, bring them home. They wanted to play with their friend, and then I feed them the friend, and I take the friend home, and then we've got like an hour or so before they're going to bed, and it's like...
Good, do you homework?
Well, yeah, exactly. It's like, when do I cultivate the time for the me and them in all of that?
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that any parent listening to this can understand is that pressure of doing it right, you know, in air quotes for the people who haven't got the video version. It's overwhelming, and because there is no right. There's no, you know, it's like there's no rule saying that if you're being too liberal with your children. There's no rules saying doing too harsh with your children. It's like all of this stuff could easily, like, one of the prime examples I'll use is so I had a very different relationship with my mum and my dad. My mum is the most loving person in the whole world. My dad was extremely distant. Very hard to get my dad's love. He moved out when I was 6, and I saw him for like an hour a week, so I never really heard that he loved me. I never got to hear that he was proud of me or anything like that. Whereas my mum loves me to pieces, like unconditionally. And the weird thing is, those are two polar opposites, right? And I can trace back I'm not saying my parents messed me up, but I'm saying that I've traced back in my own personality now. I have super daddy issues, like Dan Wheeler and Ben Coomber have both been on this podcast. They've both had me in tears by telling me they're proud of me before now, because even though they're both younger than me, I look up to them as the male role model that I never had, and I'm like that pride to me is like it's like a drug. But at the same time with women, it's like, you know, I'm in my second marriage now. And one of the things I struggle with in both in the first marriage and in the second one is not feeling loved enough. And it's not because neither of like my wives ever loved me. Alona does an amazing job of loving me, so she's a very loving person. I'm so needy and clingy, and the fact that of this wanting this unconditional love, that, you know, like there's been times that I've tested it and everything and done stupid things that, like, now looking back and I'm like, oh, why did I do that? But it's all because my perception of what a love from a woman, or like it should be, came from my mum being, and my mum takes unconditional to like the next level. If I went and killed someone, she'd probably be like, oh, it's okay, I'll help you hide the body. But I hope she listens to this and disagrees with me, because that's a felony. But
she's got you shine like diamonds in her eye.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, so you've got to just do the best job you can, because you could do absolutely nothing like my dad, or you could do absolutely everything like my mum. And different parts of my personality, which I am overcoming as an adult and dealing with, both came from that. And it's so I think any parent, like, they're listening, it's like, you know, just do as best job as you can do.
Definitely.
And don't like feel the pressure of having to do it someone else's way.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
So the whole reason I'm down here, other than just hang out and like watch your husband drink every alcohol under the sun, make him sound like an alcoholic now. He's not, but he did. I'm teetotal right now until, well, I won't be by the time this podcast comes out. And I got offered 4 different kinds of alcohol last night.
So the rugby playing never goes away, does it?
So you
one for
obviously
each, top shelf, yeah.
So you obviously invited me down here to do a mindset seminar. And without making this about me, making it more about the process of mindset, what was your motive for doing that?
A couple of things, really. Is because I see people turning themselves in knots a lot, including myself, because they can't see they can't change certain things because they don't have the brain space to kind of address certain things.
Mm-hmm. And
it comes along with lots of when you work with some people, not all people, but with some clients, it's just a huge part of healthy, it's a huge part of the puzzle. You know, you've got the fitness, you might have the nutrition now, or you might not be able to do either because your mind is in such a muddle.
Yeah.
That you think, yeah, it's a bit like with the whole parenting thing, you think you should be doing this, but why the hell can't I do it?
Yeah.
What is in there that's stopping me from? So I guess it's kind of that, and also just to learn about how other people work. I've seen work online, I think is amazing. So, it's always, and it's good to have other people that you can just recommend, and also just sharing knowledge for other people. Hopefully some people today will think, oh, this is something I need to explore further. I can see where this is gonna help me. I've been trying all these years to do this and nothing's happened. So, every little helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think obviously the general premises of what we're talking about today is that you may know exactly what you need to do, because training's becoming common sense. Nutrition's actually been common sense for decades.
All of it's common sense in a certain respect, but people just get confused with overload of information that comes out in different newspapers every day, and
which overrides common sense. And we need to kind of have that bit of return, really. Okay, so I'll in terms of, and this can be in any of the fields that you've worked in. So maybe not in the hydrocarbons industry, because I wouldn't understand a word of what you're talking about. But in any of the kind of capacities you've worked in as a coach, or what you see online, what would you say is kind of some of the worst advice that's out there that people should not be taking?
Worst advice? I think a lot of the things that are offered, the off-the-shelf packagings, are one of the worst pieces of things that people can do, because I think a lot of people go into them thinking that they're going to get really good results because they've seen something and it works for the person that's made the product and the person in their photograph, the people in their photographs, and think they're going to get the same result. And actually, so I think that kind of selling someone. I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and she was saying to me, every time I've done, because she's chosen loads of them online and bought paid £200, £300 for a course, and it's not really a course, it's just an exercise program and an eating plan. And she's like, I just feel like I'm starving, over exercising, and feel awful the whole time, and then I just go back to drinking loads and eating loads afterwards. So I think those kind of things don't. I think it's the belief that they work for everyone. I don't think the way they're sold is, and I absolutely hate celebrity weight loss videos. Not there are some good people that weren't celebrities before, they've become famous for doing them, which is a completely different thing. But people who get fat and then starve themselves, or have liposuction and then sell it as a product. And they turn out to be taking loads of drugs and all of those kind of false promises. I think that's one thing that really grates me.
That's a super interesting topic for me, because it's whenever anyone sells anything, it's here's what you can get off that, and it's here's what you can get if you're starting from the same point as the person that is in that before picture. Chances are a lot of people that get, particularly if it's the trainer themselves, if I was to go and do a 12-week shred or whatever it is now, I wouldn't be starting from obese me from 10 years ago, and I would be able to achieve things that I could never have achieved in 12 weeks back then.
Because movement and...
Not just that, but because I've already got a basis of muscle. It's I've got a pretty solid set of quads. I've got I've got a decent set of shoulders. I've got so those things that would on the after photo stand out. I wouldn't have built them in that time. I'd have just revealed what's already there to a degree. Probably have trained chest and shoulder, legs and shoulders in that time, but I've not developed that muscle. It'll just look like there's more there because I've taken a little bit of the flab that's on top of it right now. Now, when I was the same weight as I am now, exact same weight as I am now, I was that weight 7 years ago, but with practically no muscle. And it was, within 12 weeks of that, the photo I showed you last night where I'm just gaunt and skinny in the face, that's what I look like. Whereas now, if I was to slim down, there'd be better stuff under there, and I you know, I could go quite easily take a before photo that makes me look absolutely terrible. And I could be like, I went from this to this in 12 weeks, and this is how I did it. And it's like, well, yeah, well, this is how I did it, plus 10 years of different training beforehand that helped me get the basis for all of it. And but you know, if you are taking someone into that who's already got a training age of about 6 years or whatever it may be, you've got to understand that they've already got a certain degree of muscle there. They've also got a certain degree of muscle memory there, even, and there's a lot to kind of consider. So on the flip side of that, what do you think is an awesome piece of advice people need to hear more often?
I think you've already said it. Just do what's right for you. Not to please, do what works and what's right for you. Parenting, whatever. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, it's a combination of balance, right? Like, we're talking about balance in a business and balance in family and stuff, and that balance might be 80% business and 20% family for one person, and 80% family for the other, and 20% business for the other person, and neither one of them is necessarily right or wrong. No. It's just different, and it's just it's right or wrong for the individual. So if you go to bed at night and think to yourself, shit, I really should have spent more time with my kids today, and that's what you're thinking at the end of every night, then probably your balance towards business is maybe too much. Yeah. But if you think for me, for example, in those 3 hours when like my kids have got a friend over or whatever, there's literally no reason for me to actually be in the room with them doing anything at that point. So if I get to bed at that point and go, well, I didn't work because I wanted to be available should the kids want me for anything. You just wasted 3 hours. I've just wasted 3 hours, and it's I don't know if it'll be up by the time this one goes up, but I'm talking about balance in terms of a seesaw rather than in terms of the weighing scales. So the weighing scales is like you put a little bit in this column and a little bit in that column, yes. and you try and keep it level. So you know it's 50-50 parenting and business, isn't it? And you do a little bit too much business, so then you go okay, I'm going to do a bit more parenting, and you keep them nice and even. Do you need to get that? Was it not? I will cut this bit out.
Thank you very much.
It's alright. I had a phone ring in the middle of one before as well. It's bad when that phone rings because it cuts out the recording. Yeah, so basically you've got that. The weighing scales is you just keep on totaling it up and try and keep it even. Yeah. It's not how it works on a seesaw. If you do that on a seesaw, nobody's having fun. So I talk about I talk about it as like you go all in at work and you get shit done and you go hard at work, but then you kind of switch off and you go all in with your family, and it's like, and you keep on having that interchange. And if you spend the same with a seesaw, if you spend too much time all in on work and neglecting the family, they're sat at the top of the seesaw thinking, I'm not having much fun up here either. So it's rather than balance to me isn't keeping it even, it's working with the push and the pull. Yeah. Actually, when you put it like that, it is like that, because there is no trying to perfect the balance. You're always going to have a push and a pull, towards one or the other, whatever day life crops up with. Yeah, but one of the things we're going to talk about in the seminar today is like multitasking, and it's like how if you constantly switch between, you can't multitask, you can only multi-switch, but if you constantly switch from one task to the other, it takes you significantly longer to get this, and the quality of what you do is a lot smaller. Depends what it is. Well, okay, if you just listen to a podcast while driving, maybe, because I do that all the time, but like a really simple one is you write A to Z in one column and 1 to 26 in another, and you write all letters first and all the numbers second. It'll probably take you about 30 seconds to write it, and you won't make any mistakes. If you go A1, B2, C3, and write one letter, one number, alternating, it'll take you more than twice as long, and you'll make about 4 mistakes on average. Now, if it's something as simple as the alphabet and 26 numbers, what is it when you're you're working here with the phone whilst cooking the dinner, and then the kids have an argument, and you switch between that? That's about right. I know, I've lived it. But if you can separate those two times and you have that push and pull, it's like, right, okay, the kids are going to be home in 3 hours. So in those 3 hours, I'm not gonna have the Facebook time, or I'm not gonna do all this. I'm gonna go all in at this work so that I'm not having to do it when they get home. And if that's the kind of push and pull, whereas the balance of the scales is like, okay, I'll get a bit of it done now, but then I'll do something for the kids, but then I'll do a bit of time for me, and none of it ever adds up to being worth as much as it could be if you just focus on the one thing at a time.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, definitely. And I think if you're not focused in doing it like that, that's how I've lost my way in the past, just by trying to snip too many little things at once and actually not completing any of them. So basically, I think it's very easy for everyone, even if you're not a parent, it's very easy to get into that trap.
Oh, absolutely.
Like
you write in an email and your phone buzzes, and then you look at the notification from Instagram to see that you've got a new follower, and then you go back to your email and you're like, oh right, where was I? And then it takes 10 seconds for you to get back on your train of thought, and it's like, and you might never even get back on it. On the flip side, I'm gonna put a very weird difference in here. I got halfway through a blog the other day before having to leave for work. And writing a blog, and when I got home, I wrote the second half of it when I'd just come home from a run, and I just went in and just wrote it. I was in two very different mental states, and if I'll show you the blog, and you can see the cut-off point where it's like serious, and then I turn it into this big long story about how shopping in Aldi became like playing a fantasy role-playing game, and I start creating characters and all sorts in it, and I'm like, I read it back later, I'm like, I really love the second half, maybe I should run. So that one worked out alright. I got halfway through the task, but one that I do when I'm writing is I'll start the first sentence of the next paragraph. I won't finish on an end of a paragraph. And now that can feel like, I should have finished at that end of that paragraph or that chapter. However, if the first line of the next paragraph's there, it picks up my train of thought when I go back to the work. So I'm actually faster going back in. So rather than
so you've always got
an
introduction to that piece of the article.
Yeah, exactly.
It's there. It's guiding you.
That's helped me a lot.
Yeah. Like that.
Anything else
that banked? I remember that.
Is there anything else that you want to add or talk about?
I can't think of anything, if I'm honest.
Okay. Not many people do when I get to this point, It's like it's
big talk.
Yeah. I just like to make sure that there's nothing I've missed off. And then the final question is, this one's a little bit self-serving and a little bit for me, but I'm trying to expand my network of people that I interview. Who is someone that you think I should interview or meet?
I think Rachel France.
Okay.
I'm going to definitely say her. She's a very, very, she's a very, very good thinking, knowledgeable person. I just think you'll get some. I think it should just be really good fun to interview. Yeah, because she lives and breathes what she does. She's the director of biomechanics education. She lives and breathes what she does, and that kind of passion is infectious. So I think you two would work quite well together.
Fair enough. Yeah, I like to think that I have infectious passion. Is that a good thing? When you put it in those, it sounds like some sort of disease when you say it like that.
I didn't say you got rabies.
Well, yeah, I mean, I did sip some of your water before, so good luck. All right, awesome. Well, thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you very much.
Right, guys, thanks as always for listening. I hope one of the things I really hope that you take away from this one is, if you're listening and you're a parent, because we've not really talked about parenthood on the podcast before. It's an amazingly hard journey but it's one of the most rewarding journeys at the same time, if not the most rewarding journey. But I think why it's so hard is that there's just so many voices out there on what you should be doing, and really it's like there is no right way or wrong way. You've just got to basically do the best job you can and be happy in the process. Be confident in your own abilities, and be confident that if you love your child or children with the best of your abilities, and you want to foster a good relationship with them, then it's gonna turn out great. And then there's a period when they get to the age of mine where their peers suddenly start influencing them more than you can anyway. So, and yeah, if you want to take anything from my part of the story of how things were with my parents, it really is. There is no right way or wrong way. And regardless of what my relationship with my mum did, I love her to bits now. She's one of my best friends, and that's a cool thing to be able to say at the age of 35 or nearly 36. So yeah, it may. I'm rambling. I'm going to shut up because I'll go off on a weird one now. I can just feel it coming, so I'm going to shut up. And your progress is our passion, as always. I'm not going to plug anything because I just don't feel like it, and I will see you all soon. Bye.